I'm in early 11th century England during the reign of King Ethelred II. Power rested with the king and nobles, while the people lived as farmers and rural laborers. Castles served as centers of protection and symbols of power. Daily life was simple, dependent on the land and its crops. The village bustled with life under the watchful eye of King Ethelred II. The villagers worked from early morning to plant and harvest wheat. Children learned to help their parents, while carts and animals moved through the fields. Daily life was harsh but orderly, dependent on the harvest and collective labor. Village markets serve as centers of social and economic activity. Residents exchange their crops, vendors sell vegetables and fruit, children play along the roadside. Daily life remains simple, yet full of interaction and cooperation. In the early 11th century, England was ruled by King Athelred II. Villages and castles were intertwined, and local soldiers maintained the kingdom's security. Residents worked and learned to live under the protection of the nobility. Daily activities intersected with defense preparations, demonstrating the balance between life and the kingdom's security. In 1066, England faced a Norman invasion at Hastings. The English army defended with shields and spears, but the Normans attacked with horse and bow tactics. This event marked a major change in English history, ushering in the era of Norman rule. The lives of the people and the structure of the kingdom changed drastically after this war. After the Norman Wars, villages and castles were damaged. Residents began to repair their homes and rebuild their daily lives. Norman soldiers maintained security, while merchants and children tried to resume normal activities. The changes brought about by Norman rule began to be felt in the lives of the English people. After several years after the Norman Wars, the government began to stabilize. Castles became centers of political control and security, while the population continued its economic activities. Norman soldiers stood guard, merchants traded, and children continued to play in the villages. Social and political life began to settle under Norman rule. Village life and castle life went hand in hand. Merchants sold their produce, children played, and Norman soldiers stood guard and trained. Medieval England exhibited a harsh yet orderly life, with social interaction and political control coexisting. Look, here the villagers are preparing their crops, the Norman soldiers are training to guard the castle, all for the safety of the village. Children are playing by the roadside, learning from everyday life. This village lives in balance between hard work and social interaction. In this village, daily life flows alongside military training. Residents gather their crops, children play, and Norman soldiers train. I walk among them, observing the balance between social life and military preparation. The village and castle remain vibrant, every activity demonstrating medieval order. The Norman army prepared to face the threat. The soldiers practiced defending the castle, while the villagers watched from a safe distance. I walked alongside them, observing their tactics and preparations. Every movement and exercise demonstrated discipline and readiness for conflict. After the Norman Wars, English governance changed dramatically. The Normans introduced a new system for governing castles and villages. The people learned to live under new rules, while castles became political centers. Every building, document, and village activity demonstrates how the kingdom began to be structured and controlled. In medieval times, preparation for battle was crucial to the security of villages and castles. Soldiers practiced defending their territory, while villagers observed from a safe distance. I observed their every move to understand the necessary strategy and discipline. Village life and military preparation went in hand in a delicate balance. A medieval battle rages fiercely. The English army braces itself against an enemy attack coming from afar. Every movement and attack is tense, while the villagers watch from their safe havens. Village life and military strategy are intertwined in this conflict. A medieval battle rages fiercely. The English army braces itself against an enemy attack coming from afar. Every movement and attack is tense, while the villagers watch from their safe havens. Village life and military strategy are intertwined in this conflict. After the battle, the village and castle began to recover.
The inhabitants repaired their homes and reorganized their lives. Norman soldiers remained on guard, ensuring the security of the region. Social life and government began to stabilize again, demonstrating the resilience of the medieval period. After the conflict subsided, England entered a period of stability. Trade resumed, taxes began to be collected, and royal power was strengthened from village to castle. The Norman system of government established a more orderly economic and political structure. From this point, England gradually developed into an organized kingdom. The power of the English king grew stronger, but the nobility began to demand limits. Meetings and legal documents became tools for regulating power. From this conflict of interests, rules were born that limited the king. This journey marked the beginning of the formation of law and political rights in England. In 1215, the Magna Carta was forced to be signed. For the first time, the king's power was limited by written law. The nobility gained rights, and the king was no longer absolute. This document became the foundation of modern English law. In the 17th century, England was torn apart by civil war. King Charles I faced Parliament head-on. This conflict ended the idea of absolute monarchy. For the first time, an English king was tried and sentenced to death.
By the end of the 18th century, England was changing drastically. Steam engines were replacing human labor. Villages were growing into industrial cities. The Industrial Revolution was making England a global economic power.
In the 19th century, Britain built the world's largest empire. Through sea, trade, and military might, it spread its colonies from Asia to Africa. This was the era when Britain was nicknamed the Empire on which the sun never sets. World War I changed everything. Britain won, but at a heavy cost. The economy weakened and the colonies began to demand independence. The British Empire began to show its cracks.
World War II was Britain's greatest test. Cities were bombarded, but the people held out. Britain did not surrender. This is where the road to Allied victory began.
After the war, the empire collapsed. The colonies became independent one by one. England transformed into a modern nation. Power now rested with the law, Parliament, and the people. After World War II, Britain didn't immediately recover. The country focused on rebuilding its people. Healthcare and education services were expanded. From the ruins, Britain began to build a welfare state. In the 1960s and 1980s, Britain faced profound changes. Colonies became independent one by one, expanding decolonization. Cities became multicultural, and social protests escalated. The economy faltered, but education and a new generation offered hope. In the 1990s and 2000s, Britain entered the modern era. Cities boomed, and computer technology and transportation accelerated life. Education, business, and urban culture shaped the new face of Britain. These changes prepared Britain for the 21st century. Between 2000 and 2020, the UK became a hub of globalization and technological innovation. Cities flourished, digital businesses grew, and international trade boomed. Socio-political challenges arose, but education and technology shaped a modern generation. The UK now stands as a developed nation in the 21st century. England's journey from ancient kingdom to modern 2026 shows a remarkable transformation. From war to the Industrial Revolution to globalization, the past shapes the present. Don't miss part 2 to explore the rest of the country's history. Like, subscribe, and share to stay tuned for this time-traveling adventure.